podcast number 124. My name is John, and with me today is Ryan.
Good morning.
Ryan, we are hot off of Triple Force Friday, and this episode's going to be the third one in a row that features some Triple Force Friday talk. But you know what? We both went out. We bought some stuff. We had a little bit of fun and a little bit of disappointment. And so let's talk Triple Force Friday. You actually took the lead on the notes this week, Ryan, and you've broken up our experiences into midnight, morning, and Saturday, which I think is a good approach. So let's talk midnight. You were awake at midnight, or you were not?
No, I was fast asleep at midnight, but you went out.
I did go out, yes. I went out. It's a little bit of a tradition that we've done every midnight Triple Force Friday thing, and we usually go out and just kind of hang out and talk Star Wars for a little bit while we wait for stores to open up, and then we make the jump and we go where we can go. And in previous years, we always prioritized Toys R Us, and unfortunately that's not an option this year. And I really thought that Target would pick up the slack and do a midnight event this year, and I was really bummed that they didn't do that. So we went to Meijer, and then we went to Walmart. So I don't know if Meijer is more of a regional store, if they have it nationwide, but it's like a Target or a Walmart or a Kmart type store, I guess, that we have here in the Midwest. So that was our experience. We went to Meijer first and then to Walmart. Meijer didn't have anything out, despite the fact that I had called earlier in the day. And Walmart actually... Not our Walmart. We have like 3 or 4 in the Rockford area where I am, but none of ours did a midnight event. But there was one in Crystal Lake, and then one in, I don't know. There was a couple in the greater Chicagoland area that did do midnight events. Mm-hmm. So apparently some Walmarts did them. They had pins they were giving out, and I don't know, some other stuff. So I guess the midnight thing isn't completely dead like I thought, but in my area it was. So. Yeah, we had to go to Meijer, and when we got to Meijer, I shouldn't say we had to go to Meijer. I preferred to go to Meijer. Meijer was my first choice, and then Walmart was my second. But we went to Meijer, and they didn't know what was going on, even though I'd called them earlier in the day, and they said, sure, yeah, midnight. Should be out at midnight. We got there, and there was nothing out, but shout out to whoever the clerk was in the toy section at midnight, because he was really cool. He went out and he went in the back and grabbed 2 pallets, and we got to have that experience of like grabbing our keys and just like opening up boxes. And
first dibs, nice. Totally.
Yeah, nobody else was there, and we got first dibs, so that was cool.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that was fun. But it would have been more fun if we walked over there and like the stuff was on the shelves, I guess. But in a different way. Because we were digging through like Frozen 2 stuff, and we were digging through like other. It wasn't like only all Star Wars on the pallets, you know. But yeah, so I mean that was cool. My experience with those pallets though was similar to my experience throughout the weekend, which was there was some Black Series, and there was some Galaxy of Adventures, and then I want to say they had just one box of Vintage Collection. Mm-hmm. So I mean that was a sign of the temperature, I guess, the climate for Force Friday weekend, because I have not seen very much Vintage Collection.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, but so that was cool. So what I grabbed at Meijer then was I grabbed what did I grab at Meijer? I think the only thing I got at Meijer actually now this is crazy. I can't remember what I got where. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I got the Mando for sure. I got the Mandalorian for sure, Black Series, and it was in the white, first edition box or whatever, which is cool. I kept the box. I didn't throw it away.
Nice.
I will say one nice thing about the Black Series, and maybe those who've been collecting it for a long time and paid closer attention already know this, but it's really easy to just like use a knife to cut the tape at the top of the box and slide the figure out, and then, the box is like you just put the plastic sleeve back in there, and it holds up very well. So it's not kind of like Vintage Collection or 3 3/4 where there's a bubble, and then when you remove the bubble, it's going to rip up some of the box or whatever. So that's pretty nice. So I kept the boxes. I don't know for how long, but I have them for now.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I got the Mandalorian because I thought he'd be one that would be hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got a Rey and Dio Black Series
Nice.
6-inch, which I wanted because I love Rey, and I got a
Mm-hmm.
Kylo Ren Black Series with the
Mm-hmm.
new pieced back together helmet, and
Mm-hmm.
so that was cool too. So those are the Black Series figures that I got. I got some other stuff at Walmart as well, but yeah, that's kind of my first haul from Meijer. And then we went to Walmart, and it was kind of a bummer actually. They had some stuff out, but it was not. And this is kind of my feeling on Force Friday overall, which we'll talk about, but it was not like wall-to-wall Star Wars, like a whole aisle of Star Wars, and it wasn't like tons and tons of product. I mean, they had everything. They had a little bit of vintage collection. They had Black Series. They had Galaxy of Adventures. They had the role play stuff like lightsabers. They had it all, but it just wasn't like in high quantity, really,
Mm-hmm.
on the shelves. And I was like, oh, well, let's like walk around and find like where they have what do you call those? Like when they bring them out on a dolly, and it's just like a big cardboard like display thing that they just stick in the middle of the aisle somewhere. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what those are called. Like point of sale. I don't know. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, just giant cardboard displays.
Okay, there you go. So
Yeah.
they brought out
Star Wars Island.
Oh, okay. There we go. Yeah, so they didn't bring out any Star Wars Islands. And usually when I've been to Walmart at midnight for previous Force Friday events, there would be the Star Wars Island somewhere, but they didn't have those out when I was there. And so it just felt very low-key. It felt very low-key. There was like one or two other people in the aisle, and yeah. So anyway, it wasn't the big event really that I kind of hoped it would be, and that it has been in previous years. But I can't remember which I got at Walmart and which I didn't, but I got a Rey vintage collection, a Knight of Ren vintage collection, again, because I mean, I wanted the Knight of Ren. Rey's, I guess, my focus, as a collector or whatever for this sequel stuff. That's like my favorite character to collect, so I got, both Reys. But the Knight of Ren, I figure if any of the vintage collection figures are going to be hard to find, I bet he would be one who will be. And actually, all the vintage collection figures seem to be hard to find. So, but yeah, so that's why I got the Knight of Ren, and because he's cool. And the only other thing I got was a Galaxy of Adventures Kylo Ren for my youngest son, and he loves that toy. He's really excited about it, and he wants to go out and get, because he's got a little bit of birthday money left over, and he wants to go buy a Rey or a Darth Vader or something like that in the same line. So.
Nice.
And he looked at me at one point yesterday, and he was like, this toy is really cool. And he was playing with it a bunch, and yeah, he's into it. He's a toy guy.
Nice.
So, which is good because there's not too many of those left, I don't think. But he's into it.
Cool.
So yeah, that was my midnight. Your midnight, were you like awake and following it, or were you snoozing?
I was snoozing.
Okay.
I kind of, I went with my gut and was like, it's not really worth me going out at midnight. I'm just going to set my alarm for, because I took a late start on Friday at work, so I didn't have to be in until 9:45. So I just set my alarm for 6, and because I kind of figured that like my only midnight option would have been to go to Walmart. And my Walmart wasn't one of the ones doing like the proper midnight thing. There's only like one in Colorado, which is really weird, and it wasn't in Denver. So it's just really weird. But so then I knew from my experience with Rogue One, with Last Jedi, and with Solo that I should not count on my Walmart to have things out at midnight. And my assumption ended up being correct. So I'm glad I didn't like bother with that. But yeah, I woke up at 6, drink a cup of coffee. As I was drinking my cup of coffee, I went on Amazon and the Disney store, and basically was able to uh I bought like I ordered Disney Store exclusives from Disney Store, and then um basically I ordered all of the Black Series and all of the vintage collection stuff that I wanted on Amazon, right there as I was drinking my cup of coffee. The problem being that um, the vintage collections or the Black Series stuff was like, okay, ships in like 1 to 2 days, whatever. Like, oh, you'll have it by Sunday or by Monday. The vintage collection stuff was like ships in 3 to 4 weeks, or ships in like should arrive by like November 30th. Um, but I put those orders in because it's super easy to cancel from Amazon, and like, okay, well, I have a backup plan where, I'll get these figures at cost regardless, even if it takes a hot minute. So basically I put in all those orders, then I drove to the main Denver Target, which opened at 7, and so I got there like, I don't know, 5 minutes after 7, went in, and they had an end cap with Star Wars. They had Star Wars figures in like the Star Wars section of the toy aisle, and then employees were still setting up the like major Star Wars display, which was like in the kind of center of the store. That was like the figures, the Legos, the like boys t-shirts, a table with all the Target exclusives, like the giant Boba Fett and Funko and like all that stuff. Oh, and they had, what was really weird in that section is the stuff that they already had set out. They had like a table that was just stacks of Legends novels.
Really?
Yeah, they had like, I should have taken a picture of it, but it was really weird. It was like just a bunch of like mass market paperbacks of Legends books, and they were like, and it had like the Target sticker, like 20% off thing.
I would not even expect them to carry those things online, let alone like in store. That's really weird.
Yeah.
Super weird.
But then like looking at what they were, it was like it was like Mandalorian focused Legends books, like, I don't know, the Mandalore Wars trilogy, I think it's called, and then there were a couple others, but it was really interesting and really weird to see a bunch of Legends books in Target, and I mean, it's kind of cool. And they were all like the new printings with like the yellow Legends label across them. But yeah, so that happened. There were like a couple other dudes like in their 30s and 40s there, just kind of like walking around grabbing stuff. They had Black Series and Galaxy of Adventures figures out. They had tons of both. Like they had multiple, they had unloaded multiple boxes of Black Series, because like you'd see there'd be like 3 or 4 second sister figures like across the store. So that was really nice. I was able to just get every Black Series figure I wanted, like right then and there. I just, filled my basket. But I was looking for...
It seems like you even got some of the Black Series figures you didn't want, like Heartthrob Cal Kestis.
Yeah, my idiot son. I just felt so bad for him there. There were like 5 of his figure. No one was buying it. Like, he's an abject failure, but like, still, he's got a nice little robot. Um, so yeah, so I grabbed some of those, and what I was looking for was the carbonized Mandalorian figure in the gold box. And I should note right now, I was at Target when they opened. I was like, among the first people there. No one was like, I would have seen if someone else was buying figures as I walked to the aisle.
Yeah.
None of the white boxes. It was all black boxes.
That is very surprising. That's super surprising. I wonder if they have like cases of both and they don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just grabbed whatever cases and put them all out, and there's still cases of the white boxes in the back that they haven't put out yet.
Yep.
That's what you assume?
Yeah, because and we'll get to this in a little bit.
Oh, okay.
My theories on the white boxes, which are great. I love the white boxes; they look awesome. But so I'm looking for this this carbonized Mando figure, and it's like the carbonized figures are basically the same Black Series sculpts, but with like a different, shinier paint job. So I'm looking for this, and like I'm checking, and I had checked on Target's site before I even had left to see like, okay, do you have figures in stock? Are they out? And if you go to Target's site, you can see like at this location, this blank figure's in stock. It's in aisle N23, whatever. Like you can get like really specific information. So like I'm in aisle N23 and I'm like, where is this carbonized Mando figure? Like it says it's here. It's not. Like, and so I was like, okay, well, whatever. Like I already have a regular Mandalorian figure. Like this would be cool to have, but I don't really care. So the other thing that's happening at Target right now is that if you spend $40 on select Star Wars merchandise, you get a $10 gift card. So you buy 2 Black Series figures, they're $19.99. You buy 2, that's $39.98. So you do not get a Target gift card for 2 Black Series figures. So, and you can't use it on, like, the Lego stuff doesn't count. Posters. They had posters. Brand new Episode 9 posters. And those didn't count towards the total. So what I ended up doing was I had 6 Black Series figures. And so for each Black Series figure, each 2 Black Series figures I bought, I grabbed a Galaxy of Adventures figure to bring that price over $40 because those are $9.99. And so I ended up I bought 6 Black Series figures, 3 Galaxy of Adventures figures, and got $30 back in Target money. So that was pretty cool. And then I think that's all for Target. Then I left Target and went to the Target close to where I live. And that Target opens at 8. So it was, I got there right at 8 and went in, and then they were still setting out, they were still doing an end cap. They didn't have like a giant store display, but they had some figures in the toy aisle where the Star Wars stuff usually is. And then they had this end cap that they were working on. And then in the toy aisle, I saw something completely different, where where the Black Series figures are, they actually had all of the Afra line. So they had like Dr. Afra Black Series, and then 000 and the other droid, and which is crazy because I hadn't ever seen those in stores around here. Like I'd never seen an Afro Black Series, but then like their vintage collection stuff was still like that same line with like Snoke and Rey and Jyn Erso, and like that same line we've seen for like, God, what is it, like a year and a half now? That's just been like warming the pegs.
Yeah, the very first wave of vintage collection, and you never have really seen anything else stocked in the store since then.
Yeah.
Except for now this wave of, the Rise of Skywalker stuff. But as far as I can tell, that's already completely gone. And so we're just back to only that first wave from, like you said, a year and a half ago is the only thing left now.
Yep. And so I had looked, also I was holding out some hope because I had looked at the Japanese Triple Force Friday pictures that some Japanese Star Wars fans were posting on Twitter, and they were showing at Toys R Us, which still exists and thrives in Japan. They were showing that stores were stocking the retro line on Triple Force Friday there. So those, like retro 3 3/4 inch figures, those were all up on the shelves next to like, vintage collections, Zori Bliss and stuff. So I had like this tiny bit of hope that like, oh, maybe Target's going to like, finally throw those retro ones up, because I'd still never seen a single one in the store. But that was certainly not the case. So, but what I did see at this Target was the die-cast vehicles, which I hadn't seen at the other one. And there were some pretty cool ones. There was like the ATST from Mando, the kind of like really kind of slapped together ATST, which was cool. And then like that Stormtrooper, First Order Stormtrooper tank bike thing, which is something.
It's called a tread speeder. Is that what it's called? A tread speeder? Tread
that
something.
Sounds right. Yeah. And I also saw the Galaxy of Adventures, one of those as well, which looks like a pretty fun kid's toy.
It does, and there was a lot of stock of that at Target when I was there. So,
yeah. But so I looked there, and then they again had 0 vintage collection figures, and then they had an entire peg full of the carbonized Mando figure. So I grabbed one of those, and that was kind of it at that Target. And then I would go on to go to Walmart. So this is about 8:30, 8:45 a.m. I went to Walmart, and 0 stock. Like nothing had been put out at all. So so that was where I was like, oh, well, good thing I didn't come here at midnight. Like,
yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. So nothing, no Galaxy of Adventures, no anything.
Nothing.
Because my experience going to a Target, later that morning was it almost looked like nothing had been put out, but like I'm positive that maybe a couple of dudes probably showed up right at 8 a.m. and just threw everything into the cart and, you know what I mean, bought it all, and then there's just nothing. But you'd find like the tread speeder thing, or, you know, a couple other Galaxy events. So you knew kind of that stuff had been brought out, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I would get further confirmation of this when I went to that Walmart Saturday morning, and they had the island out, and then in the toy section, this is actually really interesting. I don't know if this was the case at your Walmart, but instead of putting everything on pegs in the Star Wars section, they took all the pegs out and inserted like this cardboard display.
I don't remember if that was the case or not. I don't think so. It didn't really seem like that big of a, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, it's not like necessarily huge, but it was pretty densely packed.
Yeah.
And that's what they had kind of in lieu of putting the figures on the pegs. So I think like what that was is like those were just like pre-stocked things that they just unwrapped and unboxed and then just put them out there, and everything was like already stocked on them or something.
Yeah, that could be. Okay, maybe they did have that then. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But it was all like, it was a giant cardboard thing, and it was all like Rise of Skywalker branded.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the things that disappointed me about Target is, we went there on our lunch break on, Kevin and I, on Friday. So about 11 o'clock or something, we went to the Target that's like 5 minutes from where we work. And they have like a really cool, like big cardboard display with a Rey and Kylo Ren, and you put your hand out like using the Force on either the light side or the dark side, and it turns the lightsaber on and makes noise and stuff. Like on the end cap, they had that. Did you see that at all or no?
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, and this is the smaller of the two Targets in my area too. Had that on the end cap. But then other than that, like they had Star Wars stuff in two different sections of the toy aisle. So like there was that end cap, and like around the corner from it in that aisle there was stuff. But then there was another aisle that had other Star Wars stuff, and it was like, that's weird. I almost missed that aisle. And then since they've kind of like reorganized Targets now, you know, how they have like as you had mentioned in the middle of the store, the big like kind of like, I don't know, display in the middle or whatever, where they just put featured stuff, I guess. I don't know if they had Star Wars stuff over there, because I didn't really see. I don't think they did, but I guess they could have. But anyways, yeah, it was just like we got there, and you know, they had a few Galaxy of Adventures things. Everything Hasbro was gone besides Galaxy of Adventures. There wasn't a single Black Series, not a single vintage collection. It was just like Hasbro toys didn't exist at that Target besides the Galaxy of Adventures. Again, I think they probably put out a couple cases, and somebody came and just wiped it all out immediately at 8 a.m., which I don't know really what to think about that, because on the one hand, it's like if you put out 30 action figures and then 2 or 3 people come and buy all 30 action figures, like I don't really expect Target to have a conveyor belt where they're like, okay, the dude showed up and bought 30 figures, like be ready to bring out 30 more figures every 20 minutes in case the dudes who put stuff on eBay, like bought everything. So, I mean, it could very well be that there's 10 more cases of action figures back there, but they're only set to stock stuff every couple days or whatever, you know, or at least not every hour, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I mean, I certainly don't think there's that much product that went out to stores. So, you know, that kind of makes sense. On the other hand, and I, you know, which is disappointing. So, because it's like, oh, it's Triple Force Friday, and like there's not that much product to find, at least as far as Hasbro stuff goes. On the other hand, as we talked about, like there's Wave 1 vintage collection figures sitting on shelves a year and a half later. So it's like, do we really want to flood each Target in America with 200 vintage collection figures that can then sit there for a year, you know, or whatever? I mean, I don't think they would, but they might actually. I don't know, because the primary demand for these vintage collection figures might be, you know, me and Kevin and whatever couple dudes showed up and like wiped it out, and then, you know, I don't know. I think I will say this though. It seems clear to me. Actually, I won't say that. I was gonna say it seems clear to me they're betting on Galaxy of Adventures figures as being like the big sellers in the toy aisle, because there's a bunch of them there. But as I was about to say it, I thought, oh, maybe that's just the ones that nobody wanted to buy when they came on Triple Force Friday, and that's why there's so many of them sitting there versus the other Hasbro toys. But anyway, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we can theorize around supply and demand of Hasbro Star Wars products all morning.
Yeah, we'll never get to the bottom of it. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But I think like what is clear from all of this is that, again, as we've mentioned before, like there's not strong communication between Hasbro and Lucasfilm and retailers, in that, I mean, there's boxes that say don't open until October 4th. Like I saw plenty of those. So like that's communicated, but there's not really anything like these need to be put out at midnight, or even these need to be put out on October 4th, or these need to be put out on October 4th, and then you need to keep this section stocked or whatever. Like, we sent you enough product, because either A, they didn't send enough product, and what was there and got bought by those three dudes was all there is, or, you know, they're just like, that stuff is just sitting in the back and no one like cares enough. It's not a priority for retailers.
Yeah, or I mean, I don't know. To me, it almost feels like there's two different branches within like Lucasfilm or Disney or whoever, Hasbro, I guess, I'm not sure, or a combination of all three, but that like one part of the companies really wants to do like these events and wants to make Triple Force Friday a thing, mm-hmm. and then like probably the more powerful elements of it, or I'm not sure, but somebody is just like, yeah, not so much, because it's like, yeah, you could say they didn't communicate or whatever, but at the same time, like I think it's pretty clear they consciously chose, for the most part, not to do midnight events. So then when it's mm-hmm. like, oh, well, the stuff's not out at midnight, who didn't tell them to put it out at midnight? It's like, I don't know who at the company decided we don't really want to do midnight, because I think that's the bigger issue. Because in previous years for Triple Force Friday, the stuff not being out at midnight was much less of an issue because there were events built up. You know, there was giant Porg giveaways at Target and trivia questions and an MC who was like on a microphone and stuff. And like, they just obviously like chose not to do that this time. And maybe that's Target that chose not to do it. I don't know. But like, I just feel like without, there's a name for an event and there's a press release for an event. But other than that, there did not seem to actually be an event. And so, you know, is it communication, or is it like weird, you know, arms of the company that like some want to do it and some don't, and at the end of the day it didn't really happen, but the name still stuck around and the idea of an event still stuck around, but the actual event did not come to fruition, you know.
And it's especially weird considering like they had that like TV special or internet YouTube, special with like, they made it a huge deal, and then they're like, hey, you know, you can go get all this stuff on Friday, and then people are just going to stores and being like, wait, where's this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I'm messing up our format here, but we should, you know, probably move into Saturday anyway, mm-hmm. but I went to an outlet mall, Gurney Mills in Gurney, Illinois yesterday, and they've got a Disney store. And I mean, there was like a Lego store, and both of those stores had like big Triple Force Friday signs out not in front of them, but like in their front window or whatever. And it was like sort of like, okay, well, I guess like maybe at the more like specialty stores and stuff, maybe it was more of a thing. And I know at the Woodfield Mall and other Simon malls, like the company that runs that mall or those malls, I know there was like a scavenger hunt yesterday and stuff. I mean, I think part of it is like Triple Force Friday was actually meant to happen on Friday, not Thursday night like we're used to. And so it felt like a little bit of a dud there, because like if you read about like what they were doing at the Simon malls, and if you looked at like what the Lego store was doing, for instance, it had nothing to do with like midnight releases. And it was all like the Lego store stuff was like, oh, these 3 days over this weekend, come in and do like whatever for Triple Force Friday. And like, and it is like, I don't know, I feel like, you know, people like us, like fans, older fans and stuff, we we always like I would always be like, well, why do they do it at midnight, like on a Thursday? Why not do it at midnight on a Friday? You know, because kids can't go out at midnight on a Thursday. So like, what is the point of Triple Force Friday? And then they don't do it at midnight on a Thursday, and they do it Friday during the day when like people could actually go to the store. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened to my midnight Triple Force Friday? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
But I mean, it's still Thursday a work day. Like it's, I mean.
Well, no, I know, but Friday's a whole day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, besides those guys that come and like just clear the shelves of everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the idea would be that people come and go from stores all day long, you know?
Yeah.
And you could go to Woodfield at 4:00 in the afternoon when you're done with school or work or whatever and do your little thing. Or if like the Lego store, the way they're doing it, you could go to the mall all weekend long and you know, do whatever. So, because I will say when I went to the Disney store yesterday and when I didn't really go to the Lego store because I don't do Legos, but I walked past it and Star Wars was like front and center. You know, at that store, and they had that giant Star Destroyer that they built on the Star Wars show the other day, like built and on display in the front of the store, and there was Triple Force Friday branding, and it just seemed like, yeah, you know, something happened at these stores, like there was an event, you know what I mean, or like the product is out at Disney store. I mean, just jump in and I guess talk about your experiences at these stores too while we're on it, but like Disney store, tons of Rise of Skywalker product. A super ugly sweatshirt that I want really bad. And
is it the hoodie, the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren hoodie?
Is that the white hoodie?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I saw that.
It looks like a FUBU jersey.
Yeah, I saw that like hanging on the rack, but I didn't actually like flip it around and look to see what was on it. No, it's like it's not a hoodie. It's just a crew neck sweatshirt, and it's like black and blue. It has like the star field or whatever, and then like it's just a giant like Rise of Skywalker logo, but it's like
with
stars,
like the bumpy stars
everywhere, front, back, arms, everywhere, just like a giant star field. It's so ugly, and I want it so bad.
So hideous. Oh my god!
And my wife was with me, and I was like, "I need this," and she's like, "It's hideous," and I was like, "I know, I need it." So she didn't agree. But
it looks like how my clothes looked in middle school when I had really bad dandruff, and I didn't understand dandruff shampoo yet.
Well, when you were a wrestler then too.
Yeah, that's true. The grappler.
Yeah, the grappler.
Yeah, so, okay, first off, so last night, Lindsay and I went to the mall. I mean, there's no better way to spend a Saturday night, I gotta say. Like, going to the mall at like 7:30 p.m., the crowds have dispersed a little bit. Just absolutely amazing experience. I think like highly recommended. So we went to the mall, and let's see. First we went to Lego store, and Lego store, that Star Destroyer, it's massive.
Mm-hmm.
It is huge, which, I mean, for like what, $600-700, whatever it is, it probably should be. But yeah, that thing's super cool. And then they had the deal where it's like spend $75, get this Ewok or Battle of Endor mini set.
Mm-hmm.
And so Lindsay's the one in the household who does more of the Lego stuff. I don't like I like it, and I like when she builds them and then we put them on shelves, but like I don't really have like the patience or attention span for it. So she ended up finding sets that she wanted, and I don't think she bought any Rise of Skywalker sets, but what was cool about it is all the Rise of Skywalker sets were regular price, obviously, but then pretty much every older set was on sale. So, and that still counted towards the $75 or whatever. So she bought like the Battle on Starkiller base set with Rey and Kylo in the forest, the Dewback set, and then she got for me the 20th anniversary Anakin's Pod Racer set, which is one that like I had wanted for a while. So she got those, and then got and we got our advent calendar, because we do those Star Wars Lego advent calendar every year.
Sure.
So that was an easy $75 there, but like it was pretty good discounts on the sets, and like Lego stuff doesn't often go on sale. Like sometimes you can get like sets for like $5 off on Amazon, but like it doesn't really often go on sale at like Target and Walmart and stuff. So so we got those at good prices, and that was cool and exciting. But at the same time, like she was like looking at all these sets, and I was just like itching to get to the Disney store.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, you find everything? Okay. And then so then we go to the Disney store, and that's where they just had like, I mean, just a fantastic selection. And at the Disney store, they had multiples of every Black Series figure. And they were all in the white boxes. The only ones they had were in the white boxes.
So you bought them again?
No, I did not.
Oh.
I was tempted though. So that was pretty cool, because I hadn't seen those boxes in person. So like they had those. They had again, no vintage collection.
Yeah, no, they didn't have them
Figures.
at the one I went to either. Yeah.
Yeah.
They must not carry them.
Yeah, maybe not. But like, so, I forgot, actually, like going back to vintage collection, I went back to Walmart Saturday morning. This is before going to the mall on Saturday evening. I went back to Walmart Saturday morning, and they had the island set up. And so I found Rey, Poe, and Lando Skiffguard vintage collection figures.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed those, but no Knight of Ren, no Zori Bliss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is seems to be a thing.
Yeah, and I have like either a $10 or $15 Target gift card that's burning a hole in my pocket, and I was like, God, I want to buy a vintage collection figure with that, And I even went on like the Target app, to see if I could just order it on the app or whatever, and they're sold out of all of them on the app too. So I guess I just had to wait for a restock for those vintage collection from Target anyway.
So, and I bought the Luke, X-Wing pilot Luke.
Right.
Which looks exactly like our friend Kevin. It's really weird.
Actually, somebody pointed that out when we were at Walmart the other night too. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, look at this Kevin action figure. And he was with us,
I know.
So that was
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the other cool stuff at the Disney store were like the shirts, which we mentioned, some cooler than others. There's like the Mando shirt with like just the silver helmet, which but I ended up buying the Rise of Skywalker, like everyone. I bought the poster of this too, the like everyone just kind of like photoshopped onto the
one that
shirt.
leaked a few months ago, right?
Yeah. With 3PO with his
bandolier,
the bowcaster, and Claude. Like mostly, this will probably be the only T-shirt to have Claude on it.
Right.
So I got that there. They had like other cool stuff too. Like they had the Black Series Luke helmet, X-Wing helmet.
Yep.
Which was extremely tempting, but I held out on that. They had some new like large talking figures, with like voice boxes, and they were like $32, I think. And they had like a Stormtrooper, a Darth Vader, a Boba Fett. I don't know. They look pretty good for like a large figure. And then what else? Oh, I got the Poe Dameron Disney Toy Box figure, which was, I don't know if it was a Force Friday release, but it was new since the last time I went to the Disney store.
Uh-huh.
And then they had a Disney Pins Mandalorian pin, which was cool. So yeah, I got that. I got all that stuff. And apparently they had if you were like the first first 100, first 50, whatever people to make a purchase at the Disney store, you got a set of 3 prints, Rise of Skywalker, Jedi Fallen Order, and Mandalorian print set, which is something they like typically do. Unfortunately, I was literally a day late, not a buck short, but literally a day late. So I did not get those prints. But shout out to people who were there right away, and it almost makes me think like, why? Like I maybe shouldn't have taken a late start on Friday. Maybe I should have taken a leave early and left work at like 2 and just like went straight to the mall, because the mall wasn't open by the time I needed to be back to work.
Sure.
Because I think they open at like 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I think maybe next time, if there's going to be a next time, there'll be a day where major Star Wars stuff is released. I think like especially at stuff like the Disney store, there's going to be like they make events out of things, which is really fun and really cool. Like they actually make it an event. Like we went to the May 4th thing and it was awesome. And so like there'll be more of those sort of things, but I think like in the future, I'm not going to bother with the midnight or the morning stuff. Like I'm just going to go at like 2 p.m, because by then product will be out on shelves. It won't be as like picked over as like when people get off work kind of thing. I think that's kind of like the best bet for that stuff.
Yeah, especially for like Disney Store, because they seem like they don't run out of stuff as much as the big box stores. But it probably is. It just makes a lot more sense and is more manageable in a place like Disney Store than a big box store, because it's like if the entire store and every employee there just had to focus on just the toy section at Target, you know what I mean? How much more often would it get restocked, and like how much more product would they have and stuff, versus, this giant store that has, a million different things that they're focused on any given day. So, yeah, no, that's good. I would say, like, I remember with the Solo product release, who knows what happened with that actually, because it was like barely a product release, but I went to Meijer after school, and it just felt like everything was already gone from there too. So I don't know. Well, maybe not actually. I remember I did get the Lando, and who did he come with? It was Lando, the 3 3/4 Lando, and then the Kessel Mine guy, I think, right?
Oh yeah, Quay Tulsite.
No, not Quay Tulsite. I don't have a Quay Tulsite. I probably will never have a Quay Tulsite, because he like barely ever released.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
It's like $20 or $30 to buy online, I think, because he was a limited release. Although my Target, maybe I'll just go back and buy this if it's still there, but my Target had the Solo 6-pack, like the Stormtroopers and stuff.
Like $22.
Yeah.
I know.
But I was like, well, I could buy that, but I'm holding out I want some more vintage collection, and I thought maybe but I didn't find them. But I should just go back and get that, because that's a steal.
And they have the 6-inch Malak for marked down to 15.
Yeah.
That deluxe one.
That's pretty good too.
Yeah. But, like, those are things, like, I'm not really in a hurry to grab, because my Target has, like, a ton of both.
Oh, okay.
And they'll probably be marked down again. And, like, those are not, like a bunch of like dirty stormtroopers is
Well,
not like
yeah, no, this weekend I'm excited for Rise of Skywalker stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah
So it's like just not as exciting, but
yeah.
still good stuff. So, all right, cool. So, was that kind of like mainly it for the experience for Triple Force Friday?
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
now I think we can start talking about like some of the blowback, the backdraft,
Okay.
the backdraft 2 straight to video
Oh, wow.
sequel.
Yeah. Okay.
Um
Billy Baldwin.
here's
Uh-huh.
yeah, yeah. So I think um you know, going on looking at comments, looking at impressions and retweets from like Yak Face. Few things I noticed. A lot of a lot of people were an extreme amount of people were disappointed when when stores all over the country had nothing at midnight. Um, then a slightly smaller amount of people were posting their disappointment around um, not uh, not being able to find stuff on Friday or Saturday. Just like product not existing or product existing in small quantities. Um, and then uh, a and that could be explained in a few different ways. Either the stuff is not out, or you can take a quick look over at eBay and see that um, you can get your very own vintage collection Knight of Ren for $25 and $5 shipping over there. Um, and kind of same thing with like Zori Bliss um, and that's I mean that's a huge bummer. I think I mean that's yeah, you know, this is a endemic of a larger problem in it this is not specific to Star Wars at all, because we see the same things with like the NES Classic and SNES Classics and you know, these kind of like really specialty products that I don't know. Again, this is all there's definitely a college essay to be written here about you know, Triple Force Friday, eBay, late stage capitalism, uh, and the you know uh, job situation in our country.
Yeah.
But so there is a bigger picture here, but then I think like another majorly disappointing thing, specifically for me, is the Yak Face reports on the carbonized figures, because there were retailer exclusive carbonized figures, which are the, you know, same sculpts, different paint jobs, shinier paint jobs, and so there was an Amazon exclusive Sith Trooper who is very, very shiny. I don't know if you've seen one of those.
No, I haven't.
But the first thing that sucks about that for people is so these figures are $5 more. They're $25 for a Black Series figure, which like really just like gets into the that's a little too expensive kind of area. Like it's funny how much that $5 difference makes. And so people are getting their Amazon exclusive. Amazon's the only place you can get these Sith Trooper figures, and the carbonized ones. They're $25, and Amazon's shipping them in a bubble wrap.
Oh, yeah.
And so people are getting them, and they're just, the boxes are just completely destroyed. which sucks in a couple ways because, for one, it's an exclusive package. It's for the Sith Trooper. It's a red package. It's the only Black Series figure in a red package. So, like, I kind of get people wanting to keep that in the package because it is like like this is the only package that looks like this. And yeah, and like some people just collect their Black Series figures and keep them in the packages so they can like hang them on the walls and stuff. Like I don't really, but I also get that. But then so that's like an issue with the packaging, but then with the figures themselves, apparently that paint job is not great, and like just like it seems just from even like touching and like or dropping the figures, like big chunks of paint are just like coming off these figures. And again, like, okay, well, these are plastic toys, like, yeah, stuff happens, but like these are $25 figures, and you know they're really limited, and it just kind of sucks that there's so many problems with them. And I mean, I guess this is more subjective, but like you and I were looking at my picture of the regular Mandalorian next to the carbonized one, and I mean it doesn't really look that much better, and arguably the regular one looks better.
Yeah, I prefer
figure.
just like the colors and stuff of the regular one over the
Yeah.
But
So I feel like they were trying to do something like special here, but I don't know. It doesn't feel like any of like the fans who this was kind of aimed towards, none of them really seem too happy with it, with how this all went down. So
yeah,
it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's just not really a group that I'm part of. Not that I don't empathize or whatever, but it seems like when, you know, the idea is to collect products in perfect condition, plus to have like chase products that are going to be like limited and have some kind of gimmick about them or whatever. It's just like there's so many ways it could go wrong, and end up being frustrating. You know what I mean? Whether, like you said, it's the delivery or it's the whatever the gimmick is turns out to be a bust, or, you know, whatever it may be. So I mean, there's no excuse for it. If they're going to sell a product and has a special paint job, then the paint has to like actually work and not, you know, flake off. I mean, I don't want to make an excuse for that, but it's just one of those things where it's like, you know, I just want to get the toys and pull them out of the package and display them. My issue is we should probably move past like the product stuff here and into some of the other things, because we're going along as usual. But my issue is like, I bought more Black Series figures than I did Vintage Collection because I could find them, you know. I mean, I bought 2 Vintage Collection and 3 Black Series, so it's not too big of a disparity. But, like, God, I hate articulation. I don't like it. I don't like articulation. I got, like, these Black Series figures, like, legitimately do not stand up. Like, it is very hard for them to stand up. And, like, Kylo Ren, I have Kylo Ren here, who's really cool. But, God, like, I can't get his ankle to, like, straighten out. Like, I don't know, you probably can't tell or see it, but, like, the ankle is, like, all goofy. And, like, I cannot get it to, like, it's either pointing up or it's pointing down, but I can't get it to be, like, flat. And, like, it points in at some weird angle. And it's just, like, God, why do they have to, like, the idea, I don't know. Everybody's, like, has to have articulation in their figures. And for me, like, why? So his ankle can look broken 24 hours a day? It's just stupid to me. And I mean, I love the toy. It's a great toy, but like it just does not stand up. So I have to go buy some stands or something, or lean it against a wall, or it's going to fall down. So
Yep. I noticed that and like I've been collecting Black Series figures for a while, and like there's a handful that just because of the way they're weighted or whatever don't stand well. Like I have my my Grievous figure leaning up against like the back of my shelf because that figure just there's so much happening with that figure, and like the weight dispersion is just all over the place. It does not stand on its own.
Yeah.
And then like the IG-88 has like a really just like weird body type, so like that one always falls over. But so I have him leaning against the wall as well, but for the rest of them they just stand perfectly. But I noticed this really hardcore with this line as I was starting to stand the figures up. I could not get my second sister to stand up on her own, and then I could not get Ray to stand up either, because of what you were talking about with like the rolled ankle type things. So luckily, like, I have stands. So let's see.
Yeah, I see the stand
you
there.
can see this.
Yeah.
So yeah, and which is crazy because like this figure rules so much, and like I was like looking at this figure, taking out the package, I'm like, oh man, this is such a great figure. And then I'm like, why won't you stand up?
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I ended up like having to use a clear stand for her and for second sister because I could not get them to stand up.
Yeah,
So,
I'll have to talk to you about where you get those stands. I mean, I'm sure the answer is probably Amazon or whatever, but I'll have to find out which ones exactly you get because, yeah, they don't stand. I have in front of me now, I have Jedi Luke from, or like, you know, I guess grumpy old Luke from The Last Jedi, this new Rey, this new Mandalorian, and this new Kylo Ren, and the Mandalorian's the only one who can like stand up reasonably well, and the other three I have literally like leaning backwards against something so they don't fall down because they won't stand up. So, which I guess toys are not meant to stand up; they're meant to be played with. But actually, I think Black Series toys are mostly meant to stand up; they're not really meant to be played with. So that's kind of dumb. And to me, it's just like the biggest thing is it's like a product of them, you know, going for like the high articulation or whatever. Like ankles don't need to bend. They need to like,
no,
I think on action figures, they need to like support them standing up. But, people will freak out and start complaining if they're not 22,000 points of articulation. So,
and those people who are complaining are also ones who keep them in the box.
Yeah, probably. Right. So good thing it's articulated, right?
Yeah. So like I have very strong opinions about this. I don't want bendable ankles. I don't even want bendable knees.
Yeah.
Like I want figures to be made in a way that when you put them down, they just stand up.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what I want from Black Series going forward because this is ridiculous. Or have them come with stands.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, even, for a while, all 3 3/4 inch figures came with stands. And I think that was around like Revenge of the Sith time period where they were starting to get into like some more articulation and stuff.
Yeah.
And those came with like display stands, and there were, other lines like separate from the movies that also came with display stands, and just like, just pack that in, like take out an extra weapon or something and just give me a stand.
Yeah, totally.
Instead.
That would be very cost effective, I'm sure, or very, wouldn't cost a lot. So, the last thing on toys, and then we should definitely move on, is I'm looking on Amazon right now. Galaxy of Adventure is easy to get Prime at the standard price. And the Vintage Collection, like Poe, Vintage Collection Luke, Vintage Collection Rey, $12.99 Prime shipping. But then like Zori Bliss and the Sith Trooper and the Knight of Ren, those are all sold out, and only, you can only get those from third-party sellers. So, and then, I think the Black Series is kind of like that hit or miss depending on which figure it is. You can get the Black Series first edition figures, an 8-pack of those, from a third-party seller for $495 if you want the box to be white instead of black. So,
go to your Disney store.
That's true too.
Get them for 20 a piece.
But Amazon did a good job. This is the first time I've looked, but like they had like, at the top of the page, they have like a thing that scrolls, different like, whatever links and featured links or whatever. And one of them was like Rise of Skywalker stuff. And you click on it and there's like, it looks cool. Like it's got like cool branding and stuff. And then they've got all these different categories like toys, Black Series, kitchen and apparel or kitchenware, apparel, like boom, 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 all this different stuff. So, shout out to Amazon for doing more of an event for Triple Force Friday than like, most big retail stores, I guess. So
to be fair, Target's webpage was pretty good.
Yeah, actually, Meyer's webpage too was like the very first thing you saw was Star Wars and Frozen 2, which we got to move. But I will say my Target, I walked in and right up front there was a giant like big Frozen 2 area.
Yep.
And no Rise of Skywalker area.
Same.
And I was even talking to Kevin. I was like, boom, 2 years ago, Last Jedi was coming out. There's like big Rey decals on the stickers and on the windows
doors.
in front of in the doors. And there was the time where they took those big red concrete circles and made them look like BB-8 and like just none of that this time. So it's such a bummer because like a few months ago I was like, oh man, once October 4th hits, it's going to be Star Wars everywhere. You can't, you're going to be tripping over Star Wars at every store you go to. And so far, that is not the case, really. And it's a bummer. But it is what it is.